She inboxed me and she said, "Your mother's house is on fire and your 3 year old is trapped inside." And I'm like, I don't have a 3 year old. Like, what? Maybe the man came in and helped my mother with trying to find D'Anthony, trying to get him out the house. He went up the stairs to try to go find him. And he's upstairs trying to find, he doesn't know what room he's in either. So he comes running back outside and comes running out the door. So my mom's like, "Where's the baby? Where's the baby?" And he was like, "It's too hot. It's too hot." And she was like, "What?" So she tried to run past him and he picked her up and grabbed her back out the door. So I called their father's, my mother-in-law at the time. Um, I called her and she didn't answer the phone. I'm still there. I'm panicking. I'm like hyperventilating at this point. I can't breathe.
Imagine this mother said her 4-year old son told her he dreamt he died in a fire and went to be with God. And at the time, of course, she tried not to think about it too much and thought there was probably nothing to it. But weeks later, while she was hospitalized during a high risk pregnancy, she received a Facebook message that changed her family's life forever.
So part one of my son, D'Anthony Frierson, and what happened to D'Anthony. And, a lot of people don't know the story of what happened. And I'm going to share that. This first time I have ever sat down and had this conversation in detail to the events that led into the events that happened on this day. So D'Anthony was always so full of life. Like D'Anthony was very vibrant. D'Anthony was the life of the party. Um, I have a total of 6 children, and out of 6 children, D'Anthony was number 4. I have 5 boys, and I have one daughter, who my daughter is the baby. In 2016, um, D'Anthony um, is when we lost him. So a lot of people, like I said, don't know the full story about what happens. They know bits and pieces. They know there was a fire. They just don't know what happened. It's so funny going back and kind of just thinking of how D'Anthony was as a kid and the type of kid he was. He, was in school. He was in preschool and he was super excited about school. Um, he was like I said, the fourth oldest, but act as the oldest. He knew how to spell his name at 2 years old, so he was really like a real bright child. He was my first full term baby. So my other 3 children were preemies, and when he came out, he was just beautiful. This bright, beautiful little baby, and I was just like, oh my God, it's like snow, right? But he was like perfect. Everything about him was just perfect. Um, I remember his father used to play. So his father played semi-pro football, and when he played semi-pro football, we would go to the games, and they would be in the summertime. So this specific time in 2016, in August, I went to a game with his father. It was he, um, myself, and his father, because D'Anthony never left us, right? D'Anthony was a mama's boy, a daddy's boy. So we went to one of his daddy's football games, and he sat with me one day, and we was just like laughing and talking like we always do. And again, this was August of 2016, and he was just like out the blue. He was like, "Mommy, guess what?" I was like, "What, D'Anthony?" And he was like, "I had a dream last night." And I said, "You had a dream last night?" And he was like, "Yeah, I had a dream last night." I said, "What was your dream about?" And he was like, um, "There was a fire. Grandma tried to put it out, and I went with God." And I was like, "What?" Don't say stuff like that. Like, whatever. Like, well, nothing's like that is happening. Just, he was like, "Okay, mommy." And he just continued to, watch the game and just kick his feet. And it was just kind of weird. And I was just like, it bothered me. Like I said, I was pregnant with my daughter. Um, and I was just like,
See, times like this, They can be hard because as parents, you never really know when something is just a child being imaginative or that your child has actually been given foresight.
That's a weird dream for a 4 year old to have. Like, and people to the, like, at, I thought I was losing my mind because, like, when I told this story to people after he passed away, people used to be like, "You just really saying it?" I'm like, "No, I'm serious." Like, he said this to me um, that specific day, and that again, that was back in 2016 in August. So during that time, it just bothered me. Like, we would continue to watch the game, we continued to watch his father play and things of that sort. And so after the game, we got in the car, and I remember his dad got in the front seat, and I was, on the passenger side, and he got in the back seat. And um, we were driving. We probably was like 5 minutes up the road. And I was like, Anthony, tell your daddy what you told me about the dream that you had. And then he was like, oh, I had a dream last night. He was like, oh, what was your dream about? And he was like, there was a fire. Grandma tried to put it out, and I went with God. And so I remember his daddy got quiet, and he was like, oh, he was like, okay. He was like, well, everything gonna be fine. And he was like, okay, daddy. It was just like, okay. But I don't know, me being a mother, me being, I don't know if it was the mother intuition. I don't know if I was just being extra because I was pregnant. Something just didn't never fit right with that. Like, it never, that dream that my baby had, it was just like, it's weird. So I remember we stopped at his father's grandmother's house. So his great grandmother's house, and he called her Big Mom. So I remember we stopped by there, and I called her Grandma. And we stopped by there, and same thing, same day. I was like, Grandma, D'Anthony, tell your grandma about the dream you had. Tell your Big Mom about the dream you had. So he told her the same thing. She's like, what? God is my witness. She's still living today. She can get on here and she can contest to y'all that he told her the exact same dream. Like, told her word for word the same dream. And she was like, well, you know, same thing. We was just like, oh, that's a crazy dream to have. And again, went on about the merry day the rest of our evening, and never thought nothing of it. But as a mother, something just did not sit right to me with that dream. Like, it's I grew up in a spiritual family, and we took dreams very seriously. And I know some people don't believe in that, and I don't know what everybody's faith is or whatever. But me personally, I am really connected to, like, when people have dreams, especially after that. But I grew up in a spiritual family where my mother was big on when people had dreams, and my great grandparents were big on that. And again, that dream just did not sit right with me, and I just could not let it go. Never could let it go. I mean, it bothered me for like a month straight, and I think eventually I just got to myself and was like, everything's perfectly fine. Everything's fine. So, kind of fast forwarding to what happened. So a month goes by, and like I said, I had just started a new job at the beginning of the year, and in April of 2016, and that was around the same time I found out I was pregnant with my daughter. And so again, great things is happening. New baby. The year prior, their father and I had got married. And so everything was just falling into place for me and my family. So September, now this is the month after D'Anthony's dream. September of 2016, I was approached and offered a position to relocate and be promoted to St. Louis with the job that I had just started with. So I was like, oh, okay, this is perfect. This is going to work great. And not only that, it was time for my lease to be up into my apartment. So I was just like, well, instead of renewing my lease, I can start like either doing a month to month lease, to prepare to get ready to move, or, we can move in with my mother temporarily for maybe like a month or so, which I was like, I kind of didn't want to do that because, again, I knew the baby was about to be ready to be born. The goal was I wasn't going to relocate because she was not due until January of 2017. So we was like, all right, we're not going to relocate to down there. My job had already said that was fine because I was going to go on maternity leave anyway towards the end of the year because I had complete placenta previa, which you guys can kind of read up on that and figure out what that is. So I had complete placenta previa, and after a certain period of time, you do have to come off of your feet. So 6 months or so, I was, getting ready to, towards that time frame, I was going to get ready to come off my feet and not go back to work for a while until I had my daughter. So everything was just like, okay, it made more sense to either A, move in with my mother, or B, do the month-to-month lease. All right, so now we're in September. I signed the paperwork. Everything's looking smooth. Everything's looking great. And they were like, okay, well, because you're going to be getting ready to go out in October, what we're going to do is we're going to host a training class in Chicago. In that way, you can be prepared for your management move that you're about to do and do 3 days of training there. Great. In the same token, my doctor was telling me, like, hey, you need to come off your feet pretty soon. You don't need to be doing anything hard or, hardcore to be able, to handle this pregnancy, because you don't want to lose. This is a condition that's very, very, very serious. You don't want to use you when you get to a certain point, you're going to have to come off your feet. So what date are we thinking? Because it would need to be between like 6.5 to 7 months, and like I stated at that point, I'm already going down to like 5.5. I'm down there. So I was like, oh, you know what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do my training. I explained to her what was going on. It was a training in Chicago. She was like, are you going to be on your feet a lot? I'm like, no, I'm not going to be on my feet a lot. She was like, okay, once you finish that training, and that was in October of 2016. She was like, once you finish that training, got to come off your feet. No more, working, no more, none of that stuff. So I was like, okay, great, perfect. Like, I'm going to do that. She was like, but you have to be very careful because, again, complete placenta previa is a very, if you don't know, and a lot of my ladies do know this, but it is a very dangerous disorder for women to have. It can take the life of you. It can take the life of your child. It can take the life of both of you. So, again, this is something that I was like, I had to make sure that I was being very careful with. So fast forward, I go to the training in Chicago. By then, everything's going great. The last day of training where I was in Chicago, I had a massive kind of a hemorrhage, right? Bleed out from the condition, and it caused me to have to go to the hospital. So at that point, my doctor was like, nope, that's it. I'm glad that was your last day because you are not going back to work. I am not sending you back to work until you have this baby. And I was just like, okay, that is 100% fair. So I'm in the hospital at this time, and, again, apartments getting ready to just kind of go. So I'm like, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to be in the hospital till I had this baby, which is going to be January. So it's October, end of October. So I had November, December, January. So I was going to be sitting there for about 3 months. So I told my husband at the time, I was like, hey, go ahead and, because you're going to be up here with me, and, you can, and my mom is agreeing to help with the boys and be able to keep the boys while you're up here, and then, you can go back and forth between your moms and my moms with the boys, or however you wanted to do it, right? So we made the decision, okay, well, she's going to continue to help. We're going to have my mother help when he's up there and then while he was working. So basically, so he had some support and help. All right, so I was in the hospital maybe about 2.5, I think, 2.5, 3 months. No, sorry, 2.5, 3 weeks. I'm saying months. 2.5, 3 weeks, and my doctor came to me and she was like, "You're doing real good. So what I think I'm gonna do is I'm gonna let you go home. I'm gonna let you go home, and you need to stay off your feet. Don't do anything. Just go home and rest. You have to just get up and use the restroom. Get up and use the restroom. And I said, okay, you know. Well, I go home. And guess what? I'm like, oh, the baby shower. Supposed to have a baby shower in November. Now, I've went home. This is the beginning of November. Yeah, because it's about 2 or 3 weeks. Yeah, 2 or 3 weeks that I got out the hospital. So beginning of November. Great. Um, I got home, doing real good. But at the same time, I'm online. I'm ordering stuff for the baby shower. The baby shower is going to be my daughter's godmother's senior building. And she had like a community room down there. So I'm like, okay, great. I'm not doing any walking really other than walk to the car to that, things of that sort. So got all what needed to be ordered. And the baby shower was mid-November, around the summer, November 14th of 2016. So I was like, okay, great. So come the 12th, I'm getting everything. 13th, getting everything. 14th, baby shower days. Yay! Super excited. Again, life is growing great. Everything is happening. New bundle of joy, daughter on the way. We have the baby shower. It hit hard at the baby shower. So we're there. So here's just getting into going kind of sidetracking a little bit. While we were there at the baby shower, everybody's there, family, friends. Their father's football coach, who was actually a good friend as well, that owned the semi-pro team, he was very close to DeAnthony. So like every time he saw DeAnthony, like at the football games and all that, he'll walk up to him and be like, what's up, man, what's up? And he would always give him like $5 or $10. He's like, what's up, man? They had this close bond, a close relationship. So at the baby shower, his football coach was there. Well, the crazy thing about it was he didn't have the energy that he usually had, like when it came to seeing him. So that was kind of weird too. So now it just, something stuck out with that to me too that day. And it was just like, he came in, he like, what's up, man? This and that. And he was like, hey. He was like, he came to me, he was like, what's wrong with my man's? Like, he ain't. I said, what you mean, DeAnthony? He was like, yeah. I was like, that ain't like DeAnthony. Like, I was like, he probably just sleepy or something, or maybe he hungry. He was like, yeah, he just didn't really speak to me today, and that's not like him. I'm like, I said, well, he was fine earlier, so I'm not sure what happened. He was like, yeah, he didn't really want to talk to me. I'm like, oh. So I went over there, checked on him. Like, what's wrong, baby? He was like, nothing, mommy. I was like, okay. So he was like, I'm hungry. I'm like, okay. So went over there, and there was some chicken. Now, DeAnthony would eat chicken, but chicken nuggets. He wasn't no big parts of the chicken kid. He was, give me my nuggets kid. So that specific day, though, he wanted some chicken nuggets. I mean, he wanted chicken. He did not want chicken nuggets. I'm like, okay. Because I made sure I had chicken nuggets there for the kids. It was a soul food baby shower, but I put stuff for the kids, too. So, got the chicken, and he wore that chicken out. I'm like, again, as a mother, certain things that we know and pay attention to patterns for our children, they stand out. And that was another thing that stood out to me. The first thing was the relationship he had with his father's football coach. And for him not to be as engaged as he usually was with him, that was a little weird. The second thing was the chicken. I know it sounds crazy, but I'm telling you, that was like something DeAnthony did not do. He did not eat chicken. Not if it wasn't nuggets, he wasn't eating it. So I was like, okay. Never paid. I just kind of let him eat his food and this and that. So towards the end of the baby shower, he looked at me, gave me a kiss and everything, and I was like, "Oh, I love you." He's like, "I love you too, mommy." So we getting ready to pack everything. Not me personally, but everybody's packing everything out in the car and getting ready to go. I was like, I had to use the bathroom. All right, go to the bathroom. When I tell you I had a massive bleed out, a massive hemorrhage again, I'm talking about went to the bathroom and it was just like, yeah. And I started screaming. So this is November 14th, 2016. And I'm like screaming, and so their father rushes in, everybody's rushing in, and they was like, oh my God. So they called the ambulance. Ambulance comes and pulls me from the baby shower. They had to cut my dress off of me and everything. And so I get to the hospital, and my doctor's like, you're not going nowhere now. It's definitely until you had this baby. I don't care what you say. I don't care what you do. That's not happening. Like, we are not letting you go home. It's risking it too much, and you lost way too much blood this time, and that's not a good thing. And we can't risk it again. So she made the decision for me that I had to stay in the hospital 100% until I had my daughter. So now I'm back in this hospital, miserable, because I'm a person that just doesn't like to lay down, doesn't like to stay put. Coming off of the last video, now I'm in the hospital. I'm got shipped from my baby shower, and my doctor's like, you are not going anywhere. You're here. You're staying here. This is how it's going to be. So me, I'm like, this is hard for me. So now at this point, their dad is back and forth at the hospital. The kids are coming back and forth to see me. I'm just laying up in the hospital. Again, this is November 14th of 2016. So, time has passed. We got everything moved out. Getting ready to, I'm doing stuff online to get a house or apartment in St. Louis. And so we, really just kind of setting ourselves up for our lives, right? For my promotion that's happening. And, Thanksgiving came. Of course, I'm in the hospital, and miserable, pregnant, not in a bad way, miserable. So don't take that around with that. But, I'm in the hospital on Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving is the day of thankfulness and food and family. And guess what? I'm in the hospital. All because I wanted to be hard-headed when I should have just laid my butt down. And I'll never forget, a few days later, probably was like 4 days after Thanksgiving, their dad brought him to the hospital. He brought my youngest son to the hospital, and then my oldest son, because my oldest son had a basketball game. He was playing, of course, AAU at the time. So they brought him up to the game, to the hospital. And that was it was like December 1st or so. Yeah, it was about December 1st, 2016. And he brought him up to the hospital. And he came in, and he was his vibrant self. He's like, hey, mommy. He's super happy. Like I said, he was the mama's boy, so he wanted to be up under me. And he used to say to me all the time, because when I had my ultrasound of her, the 3D ultrasound, she looked just like him on the ultrasound. So I used to say, oh my God, this baby looks just like DeAnthony. Like, and he used to be like, he was so proud of that. Like, he would go to my other kids, and he was like, look, my third oldest son, we call him Puss. His name's Shannon. But it's like, look. He was like, don't eat Puss, look. Baby, my baby sister look like me. Baby Carrie looked like me. That was her name. That's her name. My baby sister looks like me. My baby sister looks like me. Don't she look like me? And then he was like, Mama, don't my baby sister look like me? I say, yeah. See, I told you, Puss. So, like, he was just excited. This was his first sister. He was so excited to be a big brother to a sister. And he wore that, and knowing that she looked like him, oh my God, that was just like his token for that. But anyway, so he came up there and he sat up in the bed with me. And of course, I had my baby boy because he was only one. He had just turned one at the time. He turned one November 15th. So he's there. And they're up in the bed with me. And Anthony wanted to eat all my fruit. Again, Anthony liked fruit. But there were certain things that Anthony did not eat. What 4-year-olds, usually eat cantaloupe? You probably got some. But D'Anthony was wearing a cantaloupe out, that melon out. And I'm like, when you start eating this stuff? And he just gave me this smile that he always used to do. And he's like, I just wanted some fruit. And I'm like, okay. So, the dad was like, well, I'm about to take our oldest son to the game. Then I'm going to take them back to your mom's house. And then I'm going to do, he was just giving me kind of the rundown of what he was going to do. And so I was like, okay, no problem. Just video record the game or go live so I can see the game, because I never missed any of my kids. And one thing about me, I never miss a sporting event. If my friends, my family will tell you, when it comes to my kids, I am their biggest supporters. I am their biggest fans. Like, I don't miss nothing when it involves my children. Track, football, I don't care if it's poetry. Okay, I'm not missing it. Can't no job in the world make me miss nothing with my kids. So the fact that I was stuck in this hospital bed and I could not be at my son's game was killing me. But I told him, I was like, just go live or something, and I'll see it from there. And he's like, okay. So they're giving me all a hug, and everybody. D'Anthony's like, okay, mommy, I want to give you a hug. I was like, okay. And he was like, I want to give you the biggest hug ever. And I was like, okay, you going to see me. Well, as a matter of fact, because when I get out this hospital, we're going to go see Moana, because Moana was coming out. I was like, we're going to go see Moana. He was like, you promise? And I was like, I promise. We're going to go see Moana. As soon as I get out this hospital, that's going to be the first thing we did, because that's something we did every other weekend with all the kids. We would take them to the movies. No matter if it was an older movie or whatever, I would take the kids to the movies. And he was like, you promise, mommy? And I was like, I promise. And he was like, okay, I love you. Gave me the biggest hug and the biggest kiss. And that was the last time I physically saw D'Anthony. December 1st, 2016. So, they leave, right? And so I get some rest. I watch, I get up after, probably a couple hours later, and I'm looking and I see the live video, and I'm super excited cheering my son on. And, the second day, December 2nd comes, and 2016. And it was a crazy day for me, because I just felt like, just wasn't feeling too good. And I was just, just didn't feel like myself that day. So I really didn't, have many visitors that day. And people didn't, really come, because I didn't really feel like being bothered with anybody. Not the kids or anything, but just the kids usually only came up there maybe a couple times a week, if that. Because, again, I was getting a lot of rest, trying to get myself healthy and get myself together to have my daughter. But it was just one of those days I just was something just felt a little off. So December 3rd comes, and I remember that day. I talked to D'Anthony, because I would talk to him on the phone probably 5 or 6 times a day, because I had that little virtual cat downloaded on Talking Tom. That was his name. I had that downloaded on my phone, and that was something that he played with, and it's something that he did, right? He fed that cat all the time. So I had it on my phone. He would call me 30 times a day. Mommy, did you feed Tom? Did you feed Tom? Did you feed Tom? Yes, I fed Tom. Yes, Tom is good. Okay, mommy, I'm just making sure. How you doing, mommy? How my baby sister doing? She's doing good. Okay, I can't wait till you have my baby sister so she can come home and we can go to the movies. And I'm like, yes, yes, yes. So this is the 3rd of December, 2016. And he was like, okay, now I need you to take good care of Tom for me, okay? I'm like, Anthony, I'm taking care of this cat. He was like, no, you have to take good care of him always. I'm like, okay. Again, just weird. And that another thing that stood out to me because I'm like, why is he saying take care of this cat always? Like, okay, December 4th is the day like that my whole life changed.
At this point, nobody in the family knew how deeply, how tremendously the next sequence of events would change their lives. So, y'all make sure you turn your post notifications on so you will not miss when I post part 2. Talk to y'all later in the comments.